Hey guys, so this is episode 4 of the Mustang build. Starting off here, I'm going to remove and replace the driver's side rear frame rail assembly. So I have a full length assembly, which includes a torque box. It's a dynacorn part. I'll show images of it here as I move on. Remember in previous videos I talked about sequencing. So originally I was going to remove and replace the driver's side rear drop off. However, thinking about it, coming over here, it's the top part of it's not bad. Where it usually rusts is down in here. It's kind of hard to see. Yeah, so down in here, it's just kind of nasty down in there. And then if we look, it just looks nasty. There are holes in it and stuff. So I'm gonna go ahead and replace them. They're cheap and the metal work's not that hard. So, but the reason why I want to start with the frame rail instead of replacing the actual drop-off is I've got a nice locating hole here. Everything fits. Measurements are there, and then as far as accuracy for repeat metal replacement, and it just kind of helps keep the car in place as I remove the frame rail and put it back together. So I'm going to be taking a lot of measurements in here to make sure things are square. I still have the original gas tank, which is good, so I can just drop it in to make sure that everything lines up and fits correctly before I weld stuff. Another reason it's good that I'm doing it this way is wherever I remove the metal, the holes will be there because I'm going to drill out all the spot welds. So this will help locate the new frame rail. And then as we move forward and get the frame rail back in place, I'll go to the drop-offs. So that'll be next. And then I got to remove it from the tub here, which is part of the new assembly. It comes with a tub, so that just leads me into not having to do additional work as I go forward because this will already be disconnected. So long as stuff's not moving around, I should be okay, and it shouldn't. If I get down low here, it's a little tight. I've got my jig post here going up, so that'll help me locate that, and then the one up front there, kind of blinded by the light there, but. So basically what I just did is I moved stuff around, gave me room to work. Now what I'm going to do is take a bunch of measurements, and as usual I'll transfer this all over to SolidWorks, and then we'll start drilling out, revealing all the spot welds, and then start drilling them all out. And then my other plan here is to make things easier. I'll take my plasma cutter and this is the torque box here. Let me get this light set up. So this is the torque box here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my plasma cutter, and the whole floor is getting replaced, is come around through here and just open that up, give me a little more room to work, and then I'll drill out all these spot welds as well. So big thing that people say online is lots of measurements for repeat location, make sure the car stays square. So big ones for me are gonna be between the rockers, measure that, and then some more metal measurements inside the car. And then I might even add some support. Actually, I know I'm gonna add some support because when I remove the frame rail from here, this part of the car won't have any more support. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna weld a 1x square tubing down from here to here because this is getting replaced as well. So that'll help support the car. So not a whole lot of weight back here. So anyway, let's get started. All right, so right now I'm in the process of revealing all the spot welds for the frame rail, and I've worked my way from the back here on up. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have to remove this guy. It's not a big deal, I've got new ones. These are kind of worn out and a little bit rusted, so that works out. And then I'm working my way forward to help support the back of the car. So keep in mind, this rail, or this post, and then this post are attached to the rear frame rail. So when I remove the bolts for them, that's no longer supporting the car. So I had installed these to locate the rockers and to hold up the car. So I've had that one there, and then we've got the support over there, and then the other post back here, which will help holding the car up. And then I added this post, which just goes down from here and then welds into this guy. And that's just to help support everything, all the body metal, minus the the rear frame rail is still all together, so that'll all help hold everything together. And then again, I'm gonna be taking a ton of measurements. So that's that. And then one issue I did notice is that the package tray, this guy is in the way. Right behind here is another spot weld. So just to make things easier, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna take my plasma cutter through here, and I'm gonna cut, and then I'm gonna cut down through here to here, and then cut this section out. And then, because I'm pretty sure there's another weld right here as well that I need to get to, and I can't. So that'll just help get things out of the way so I can do some drilling. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that now. Okay, making some headway here. So some things. I went through and I did a pilot hole for my spot weld cutter. So you can see the holes drilled all the way through because I don't care about the frame rail. I'm removing it, so it just makes it a little bit easier. And heck, I don't even have to use a spot weld cutter. I could just use a regular drill bit and just get through this. So we'll see what I end up using. A couple issues. I am running into a clearance problem up here. I just can't get my drill in, and I don't have a 90-degree drill. So it's a good time to buy one, but the wife said no, and that's okay. So for instance, I have one right here. So what I'll do is I'll take my cutoff wheel here, and then I'll put it right on there, and I'll massage it back and forth and weaken the weld enough to the point where it'll pop free. So I'll do that for those I can't get into. Another thing, I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to create clearance in order to get the rail out. So since I've got a one-piece floor pan I'm going to install, I'm going to go ahead and take my plasma cutter, and this line right here, I'm going to cut that out, section out, all the way up through here. And then it kind of takes hard to see about hard right. Here we go. And there, right there, hard right, and right into here. That'll give me some room to work. I'll eventually be cutting out this whole section anyway through here, but I want to leave that there for now to make it a little bit easier to help locate the new frame rail, because I want this metal to be in there when I do that. All right, so as far as the back, again, I got to finish drilling out all the spot welds, but I'm not sure if this guy, if there's a spot welds behind it. The way they run, there's one here, 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 and here. So if I were to do a straight line from there, they don't really go underneath this. So they come through here, but I'm not seeing any welds except for this one here. And then there isn't, I haven't seen any here, so which is feels odd to me. So I won't do anything back here yet. I'll see if I can get the rail out without doing any drilling or cutting back here. But if I end up having to do that, I'll probably have to remove this and see if there's some hidden underneath of it. Other than that, that's where I'm at for right now. I'm gonna go ahead and cut this out and then start drilling these spot welds. All right, so I'm getting closer to getting the old one out. Just wanted to go over the new one. So this is a Dynacorn piece. It's pretty nice. Let's see here. Comes with your bump stop. It even comes with some new bushings in there for the shackles, which I won't be using, but still, for those of you that do, it's a nice piece. So the cover here will end up going on like that, right? Now I'm planning on doing the side exhaust because I do like that look. So I'll be cutting a hole through here and coming out. This is where the rocker sits, and I'll be cutting a hole through there as well. And then to reinforce it, I'm going to weld in some larger diameter, either box or pipe from A to B in here, and then seal it all up so it's nice and tight. So that'll just help reinforce what I cut out, because it does weaken it a little bit. It did come with a little bit of damage right here. That's okay, that's easy fixed. Rotate it over so you can see it's nice stuff here, nice and thick. So right now I'm working on this area on the car, okay? So it's right through under here is where the shock brace that goes across the car, and I'll point it out to you. I don't recall the name of it right now, but there's a flange that goes underneath in there, and then there's hidden ones in here. I don't want to cut that up. So I don't care about the old rail. I'm going to cut it from this side with the plasma cutter. I've already marked it out. That'll give me access to be able to get in here and drill the spot welds out. And then what I'll do is with the metal that's staying for the floor, I'll cut a panel out and peel it back so I can get in here and weld it when the time is right. And then I'll lay that piece back down and stitch weld it up and then clean it up, and you'll never tell that it happened. But it'll help keep the strength of the car because that's where the cradle for the rear total control product suspension is going to mount. So I want this area to be nice and strong. Okay, so over at the car, I was able to get a lot of drilling done. Where's my light here? Oh, there it is. So you can see all those holes are drilled out. I still got to finagle it a little bit here and there. And you can see where I did that. Used the cutoff wheel to help clean this up. Actually, the only one I really needed to do was right here, because if you angle your bit when you're drilling to get it down in there, then you can see where you need to drill from underneath. Because there's undercoating still underneath the car, and I don't want to take the time to remove it because I'm replacing all the metal anyway, so trying to save some work. So this is really where it mattered, was right here. So I ground that out, and then when I weld it back together, granted these are getting replaced, but if I were to weld this back together, I would just fill that in with weld and then grind it down flush, and you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. Okay, so underneath the car, this here is what I'm talking about. Where these 3 holes are, this flange for this piece that goes across, that piece is still good. When I clean the rust off of it, it's still strong metal, so that piece is staying. So I've already drilled the holes out here. Down inside there, it's hard to see. Might be better. See, there's a flange that goes in there. I can't get to that from out here, and I don't know where to cut from the floor, and I don't want to make out my floor, so I've already marked it. It'll be kind of hard to see. There's a line right here, and then there's one right here. So I'll take my plasma cutter and I'll cut through here, down here, through here, and kind of make a little panel to work with, and then that'll allow me to drill those out. And then I'll, when the time is right, I'll open up the floor from underneath, and it'll just allow me to get in there to find out exactly where I need to do it. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that done, and then I'll continue to work to get this out. There's gonna be some welds hidden up in here. I have to get those out. I might just take the plasma cutter up where the corners meet and just cut it out, and then while it's out, I'll work those pieces out. There's a little more room to work, so I'm gonna get to it. And the rear frame rail is out. So I'm gonna go over quite a bit of detail here on this one. Let's start with the comparison between the rails. I haven't done any measuring on it yet. I've got them lined up pretty decently. At least I did. And then, you know, just by looking at it, they look pretty good. You know, I've heard nothing but good things about the replacement rail. So I'll take a tape to it, and if it's off, I'll add to the video, but I'm pretty sure that it should work out just fine. The new metal's a little bit thicker. As you can see, this is the torque box area. Yeah, just some minor things that are different. Looks like the bolt is going to be a little bit shorter. It'll go inside here, and instead of clamping out here, it'll end up being in here. So flip it over. You know, this, I cut some metal off this to make it easier to get off, and I'll show you guys that, but just for comparison, looks like this a little bit thicker in here. That's good. A little bit stronger. It's always good to upgrade, right? So, and then the seatbelt bracket, this is new on this one. The other, for the car, it's attached to the sheet metal, so definitely gonna be stronger through here. Comes with a bump stop, comes with bushings, so not a bad piece of metal. Okay, so scoot these out of here. All right, tools. I ended up not using my air chisel at all for this one. That's okay. It would have been really hard to get in there with it. And I can tell you, mainly what I used here are screwdrivers to break welds free, because if anybody knows about drilling spot welds, there's always some weld usually left. Ended up using a 1/2-inch drill bit to help weaken welds here and there, because they were sticking pretty bad. Even when I got them centered, there was still just a little bit of weld on some of the spots, and there was one that was hidden, and I'll show you guys where that's at. So You know, hammer. These are great. This splitter, panel splitter, that really helped out a lot. Big effing hammer, and then a pry bar. So, and then a miniature pry bar. All right, let me grab a light. Okay. Start with inside the car. As you can see, I ended up, you know, cutting out this hole, give me some room to work. I've got material left over that went around from the torque box for the old frame rail still attached to the car, so I'll be drilling these out and popping those off. It's just easier to use a plasma cutter, go ahead and cut it, and now I can actually get down in there and work. I left the pan metal in place to help relocate the new one. So you see there's a lot of holes. There's 3 holes, excuse me, 6 holes here. Those were hard to find. It took me a while because of how rusted my car is, but I was able to get those and pop this loose. What I did is once I got this loose, I worked my way towards the back of the car. As you can see, I got black line here. I'll have some more in the back, but as I was popping loose to stay organized where I was located, and loosening the welds, I would mark anything forward of that is good. And I just kept going back. It's very tedious, each one getting them loose. As you can see, some of the holes are bigger than others. It's because I just, you know, when I drilled it, I wasn't perfect, and then there was a little bit of weld left, and I just used a bigger bit, and that cleared out the weld. And then I worked my way back of the car, and I'll get you a better look back there. So that's how I got the front torque box done and loosened from the car. And then, as you can see, more marks and everything. It really helped out. And then, as far as you know, where holes are at, or where welds are at to the frame rail up in the front here, I ended up having to cut out the bracket here. It's down underneath the car right now, but it's that bracket. So I used the plasma cutter, blasted the welds out on it in some spots, cut in others, and just cleared up these two. These two were hidden underneath of it. And once I did that, the rail was got a lot more loose. And then, as you can see, just trying to show you guys where all the holes are at, because if you have to do it, you got to find them. And when I got to this area, you know, the welds in here are a little bit smaller than up front, and this whole side of the panel, when I was working up here, just popped free. So that was great. And then I just worked my way back. And then, as you can see, it does attach in the front here, and it's bent back. I had to cut this here and here and bend this out of the way because I needed the rail to drop, but I'll get more into that here in a minute. There's 2 or 3 under, I think just 2 actually, underneath, so that it sits like this. There's 2 welds underneath, and there's several welds you have to reveal that are right here. And then, you know, I peeled this way. This is all getting replaced, so I'm not worried about it. Okay. Under the car. This is where you know, I spent a lot of time just sitting here, and what's great about this jig is I have the car up higher. So, all right, this is where the post is that attaches to the front leaf spring mount that stayed put. And as you can see, this is where the floor pan meets the pan that goes over the axle. The name of it's escaping me right now. And then you've got the shock tower brace. Now, what I ended up doing, go back to the rail here, I ended up cutting out this section with the plasma cutter, okay? And it's to get to these holes that have welds. I was able to drill these, but I wasn't with these, so I had to use plasma gouging on those, and that's okay, because I'm replacing this, and my plan up front, and I'll show you, is to cut out some of the pan there so I can get access to weld later. But doing this, it really made it a lot easier to get tools up in here, and I could bend this metal out of the way and get behind this piece with the panel splitter and break those welds free. So that really worked well. Not if you're going to reuse the rail though. And you can see in there, it doesn't look too bad. Just don't get in there and clean it all up, dead spiders and whatnot. So anyways, you can see, weld here, and I'll bend these back. This metal's actually pretty good. This piece folds up underneath the rail. So, you know, I'll just bend it back in place and weld it, it'll be fine. Same thing, this will bend out. It just got a little damaged when I was removing it and prying on it. So that's where the rail sits there. And then I was having an issue with my jig being in the way. So in order to get the rail to drop down, I had to create this little thing here. It's a piece of angle iron that allowed me to bolt in 4 spots, and get the piece out of the way. That's this piece here. And then I can just reattach it with the other 2 bolts, and it'll line right up where it needs to be. So when I remount this, my jig's into place. Yeah. So as you can see under there. So just, you know, it wasn't too hard. You just got to take your time with it and find all the wells. And once you do that, then you just break it loose, and it actually just comes right out. So what I did is I dropped it in the back first. Once it got low enough, then I was able to slide it forward, and then it dropped off to the right. Then I just brought it out through here and out the wheel well and just set it down on the ground. So, you know, not too hard. Just, you know, take your time with it, find all the welds. I'm trying to see what else here. I don't think there's anything actually. That, you know, I'm going to treat this metal with weld through primer, obviously. Get it all cleaned up, because this piece is original and it's good, so it's staying in place. And then I got to clean up all the old welds and old pieces of the torque box that are still on the inner rocker there, and get those out of the way so they're not interfering with the new piece. And yeah, not too bad. If you're gonna do this, you know, I would do some research online. Hopefully this video helps, and you know, just take your time with it. And again, I can't say it enough. The jig is extremely important for this, for relocating the metal back in place. So if you take your time with it and take some measurements, it shouldn't be too difficult. The Ford service manual does have measurements going from the holes in the frame rail. So you got this one here, and then there's one right here to the other side of the car, so it really helps square it up. And then with the jig, you got your height, so it's, you know, you should still take measurements, but you know, it should get right back where it needs to be if you use those 4 positions. Other than that, I think that's it. So that's going to be it for this video, for this part. I will start the installation here shortly, and I'll get videos out for that. If you have any questions, please ask.